Buckle up because crunch time is back in 3, 2, 1. Here we go.
What's up, everybody, and welcome into the newest episode of Crunch Time. This is episode 55. My name is Jacob Krugenberg, and as always, joined in the booth with Max Williams. Mad Max, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Kruck. You know, draft days this weekend, man, here in Kansas City. It's going to be exciting, man. I mean, I'm going to go down there with a couple of friends. I know you might be going down there.
Absolutely.
So it'll be a great time, a good vibe right now here in Kansas City area.
See, and I have so many different jerseys that, like, I can jump
You wear a
around
lot
from
of them,
different
yeah, different
crowd.
ones.
You know, I can, I'll be like, I'll wear a Cowboys jersey for one pick, rip it off, wear my Jets jersey, rip it off, wear my Jaguars jersey, and then throw on my Bears jersey for the 9th pick.
Soon you might have to get an Aaron Rodgers jersey for the Jets now,
No.
possibly.
I already have a Jets jersey.
Oh, wait, you'd never do that anyway because he was with Packers for so long.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we here in the Krugenberg household do not like Aaron Rodgers.
No.
But moving into the first item on our to-do list, the NFL draft is coming to town in Kansas City, where we are currently located. And the Chicago Bears used to have the first overall pick, and they traded it to the Carolina Panthers, as well as a bunch of other stuff. So now that Chicago is at number 9, Carolina's at number 1, and everybody knows Carolina needs a quarterback. Max, I know you might be a little biased on this because you are an Ohio State fan, but is Bryce Young the true number 1 pick?
If you would have told me a couple weeks ago, I would have said no. But I think now, looking at it after what they believe in and what Panthers are looking at now, I think, yes, he's going to be the number 1 pick looking at it. I think for Bryce Young, when you compare both Stroud and Bryce Young, I've kind of talked about this both in my Down to the Minute podcast with you and the others. Bryce Young compares a lot of people to a smaller version of Patrick Mahomes. How he plays, how he throws, he moves around the pocket and stuff. My concerns with Bryce Young, as I've known, is his size and everything else, how that's going to correlate, obviously, to the NFL. And then for Stroud, man, listen, Stroud's got that deep threat ability. He can do stuff you don't see that much, obviously, from the level. And we saw his running ability in that Georgia game for sure, showing his speed when he was on making plays. But for me, though, C.J. Stroud, sometimes he still lacks with, timing sometimes. He doesn't make the plays that you want to on the right play. So what I've heard, though, with the Texans is they might not pick a quarterback, Kruck. I heard a rumor about that. They might pick maybe a linebacker, maybe someone a D lineman for the Texans. Maybe they think the quarterback is not their direction. So do I think that's the right move? Oh, I don't think that's the right move. I think the Texans need to get a quarterback because I don't think Davis Mills is their answer.
No, yeah, definitely.
We've seen what Davis Mills' experiment has been for a couple of years, and I think getting maybe a player, whether it's Stroud, if you really think about, I don't think Anthony Richardson would be up in their radar, but you never know. This is an NFL draft; it can be crazy. So, and then obviously Will Levis, but I don't think Will Levis is going to be that high at number 2. I think he'll be a later, like maybe in the 10, 15 kind of range. Will Levis will go. So, I mean, I think the Texans should get a quarterback. We'll see, though, obviously, as that second pick, because it can go to a lot of teams, and teams might trade up, too, for this quarterback class, Greg.
And I mean, honestly, like, looking at it on the field alone, right? Mm-hmm. On the field alone, I feel like C.J. Stroud has the best potential to turn into what Deshaun Watson was for the Texans. Because Deshaun Watson was a little bit bigger, had that big arm capability, had the mobile ability. I mean, that's C.J. Stroud to a T. He's bigger, taller, and a tiny bit faster than the, number 1 overall pick, or assumably number 1 overall pick, Bryce Young. But looking down the list a little bit, Anthony Richardson, I don't know if you talked about this, but he's probably going to go to the Colts for a QB. Got the Cardinals at 3. It looks like, honestly, I'd say they take the outside linebacker, Will Anderson Jr. He'd fit in well there. D tackle to the Seahawks. You got a defensive end to the Lions. Corner for the Raiders. And honestly, looking at the Raiders should get a quarterback.
If you think about, they did get Jimmy Garoppolo.
Oh, I forgot they got Garoppolo. Is he going to be healthy?
Well, that's the great question, right? We never know with Garoppolo. He can stay healthy, and then he cannot stay healthy. That's the thing about him. Looking at it, what's very intriguing to me is what the Colts do at the 4th spot, because they can still go quarterback at that thing. They could again, they've been talking about the whole Lamar Jackson thing, and that's kind of been panned out. I think probably because of the Odell Beckham news that we heard about a couple weeks back.
Yeah, for
with
sure.
him to the Ravens, probably not making him leave, even though he put out on Twitter, right? He was saying, "Hey, bye-bye Baltimore, everybody, all that." But I could see them possibly looking for Lamar still, and they don't get a quarterback in this draft. They'll tell you a lot about that as we go into probably in this first round. I mean, looking at it, some other players I'm just going to mention too that probably be big-time picks to watch out for is, first of all, Bijan Robinson from Texas.
Yep.
I mean, that guy is going to go, could be a top 10 pick if you think about it, or could be late first round. I think he would be a steal for sure for a team that wants a running back. And then this guy from Illinois, I've kind of watched his tape recently and kind of looked at what he could do. Devon Witherspoon, too, for Illinois, the cornerback. I think he could be a big-time pickup. And it looks like right now the Falcons are projected to get him at the 8th pick. But and then for Bijan Robinson to the Patriots later on, looking at what was it there, Kruck, the 14th pick, right? And so those are kind of two interesting picks for me. I really like how Witherspoon plays. I mean, Illinois wasn't the most exciting team you hear about, but he still made a lot of plays in the Big Ten, and that's still obviously a great conference, as you and me both know. And so I think he will be a big-time steal. As long as my Buckeye, too, Jackson Smith and Jigba for Ohio State. Keep an eye on where he goes. I heard a rumor he could go to the Jets, possibly. And that could be huge, teaming up Garrett Wilson, right? Garrett Wilson, Jackson Smith and Jigba. You got Alan Lazard there. I mean, you got a lot of talent there for the Jets. Now just getting Aaron Rodgers. So that could be an interesting one for the Jets, probably, I believe, at the 13th pick.
Yeah, well, it looks like, looking at the ESPN mock draft 2023, it looks like they predicted that the Titans were actually going to pick up Jackson Smith, Najigba. But honestly, the Titans, they don't need wide receivers.
Nah, they really
I can't
don't.
say they do. They don't need a running back. They don't need a Tannehill is a good enough quarterback. He is NFL tested.
Yeah.
He's like that like a B minus, where it's like you're not proud of him, but you're like he gets the job done. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think the thing though about Tannehill is, I think you got to move on to go to a new quarterback than Tannehill. I could see the Titans maybe looking for a quarterback too. I mean, Malik Willis, they've talked about it, but I don't think they're really as hyped as what they thought about Malik Willis, probably from the season that they saw from this year. So I would not be surprised at all if, again, one of these teams wants to move up for this quarterbacks early in the draft. Keep an eye on the Titans for one of them. Again, I think the Packers or the Jets would be a great spot for Smith and Jigba. Both teams that kind of need wide receivers, especially for the Packers. I mean, how many years, Kruck, we've done this podcast, right? How we talked about the Packers trying to look for a wide receiver.
Especially in the first round.
Yeah, in the first round, right? And what have they done every time? They've failed doing that, right?
And it hasn't been good.
It has not been good. I mean, Christian Watson gladly somehow turned out to be at least not bad. I mean, for them from, what was it, North Dakota State, I believe?
I don't even remember.
Something like that, yeah. But,
as soon as they go to the Packers, I just hate them.
They just went. But the point is, though, is that they need that type of help. And I think for the Packers, especially with Jordan Love, first year we're seeing him finally start with Aaron Rodgers leaving. They need weapons now to help him out.
Yeah.
So I think that'll be a perfect spot for Smith and Jigba to go in the first round.
And then just one more before we move on. The Bears pick. They moved from the 1st to the 9th. I'm a Bears fan, so I have to talk about it. I would like them take Peter Skoronski, the tackle out of Northwestern. He's big enough that he can play guard or tackle. He's fast enough to play tackle. And, famous movie about offensive linemen, The Blind Side, right?
Oh, yeah.
The highest paid player on every team is the quarterback. The second highest paid player on every team should be your blind side tackle. Mm-hmm. Whether he's a righty or lefty, he should be the blind side tackle. This guy is going to be worth every cent that we spend on him, as long as he doesn't end up like Kevin White. As long as he doesn't end up like Kevin White, the Bears will be good, but knowing the Bears will somehow
real quickly,
pooch.
just to that, I mean, they need that because they need to help Justin Fields out like crazy. They need to learn that if Justin Fields wants to be the quarterback, he needs to get O-line help. Just like the Bengals tried to do a couple years ago with getting, I believe it was an offensive lineman. I forget what his name was, but it was a big one for them too, for the Bengals. And look, we panned out now. We made it to 2 AFC championships.
I'll say one thing. Those Ohio State boys can take a hit. They shouldn't have to, but they can take a hit. Moving into NBA playoffs. Max, you want to start off in the West or the East?
Kruck, I'm going in the East, and you probably know where I'm going to start with, right? I'm going to start with the New York Knicks. You know, my favorite team they always talk about, and literally they're playing, I believe, right now, and they have a chance to wrap up the series as we speak right now against the Cavaliers, right? So they're right now up 3-1. Maybe by the end of this show they might be winning the series, or they'll just go to Game 6, right? But what the New York Knicks have done so good so far is Jalen Brunson is showing up. When he was supposed to get signed to go to the Knicks, he's supposed to change that culture. And he has changed the idea of what the New York Knicks are. And they're beating a great Cavaliers team as well, right? I'm just trying to listen to our boy Buster up here, Kruck's dog. But I think, though, the Knicks are going to be a challenge to watch out because the Bucks are in trouble right now.
Yeah.
I mean, they're down 3-1 to the Heat, and they have a possibility of losing tonight, right, against the Miami Heat in Milwaukee, which I don't think is going to happen with Giannis healthy, which is great to hear for Bucks fans. But it could be the Knicks and Miami Heat. Just think about that matchup for a second.
Well, I mean, hear me out on this one. Is Giannis healthy, or is he gonna try to play through it just to not get that first round drop?
I say he's just hoping.
I don't think he's healthy. I think he's just coming back to play just for not old time's sake, but just to stay alive. Because I mean, we've talked about it before. Chris Middleton is not the guy you can lean on to carry a team. He's not. He's a good Robin to a Batman, but he's not a solo act. Brooke Lopez, Robin Lopez, they can only do so much. Grayson Allen, well, he's not good since he left Duke. Giannis is the team. And I'm sorry, there's a couple other players on there who you could call role players, or some people would call them star players, but Giannis is him. Giannis is the team. Giannis is the Buck. You look back in time, when were the Bucks good before? They had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Now they have Giannis Antetokounmpo. Both absolutely tall, absolutely athletic, electric, defensively, offensively. There's just a stereotype in Milwaukee. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I mean, but especially for the Bucks that were a 1 seed, right? Having all the expectations they were supposed to have coming for this season. And the Miami Heat, listen, Jimmy Butler, playoff Jimmy Butler's another animal. We know this.
For sure.
He scored, 56 points, Kruck?
Yeah.
In the game before? I mean, that's incredible. And Bucks actually made that game competitive, too. So that just shows you a lot about the Miami Heat, which actually made it to the Eastern Conference Finals last season against the Celtics, which the Celtics, listen, they had a tough loss in Game 5. I mean, Trae Young, just an incredible shot. Sometimes you're going to lose those type of games, right?
Yeah, it happens.
I think they're going to go into Game 6 and we're going to win against the Hawks tomorrow night. And it's probably going to be the Sixers-Celtics, I think. I think the Heat are going to win it. They might not win tonight, but I think when they go back to Miami, the home crowd's going to help them out. And they're going to win that. And I think the Knicks right now are looking like they're going to win. So we could have this as matchups, Kruck, for the East, possibly. The Knicks and the Heat. And then the Sixers-Celtics, which we kind of expected the Sixers-Celtics matchup.
Yeah, I expected that.
But the Heat and Knicks?
No.
Wow.
So, yeah, I'm taking the same picks as you. Celtics, 76ers, obviously. They already won. But Celtics are going to play the 76ers, and then the Knicks are going to play the Heat.
The Heat, wow.
Because if Giannis is truly healthy, if he is truly 100% healthy, the Bucks may be able to come back from this, right? But if he is not 100% truly happy-go-lucky healthy, he's just going to injure himself trying to keep the season alive. And I admire it. As two athletes right here speaking to each other, we would put our bodies on the line, especially in a playoff game. But it's for a dying cause.
Right. And obviously different sports, right? Different atmospheres. I mean, you got a long season with the NBA. I mean, football is a little bit different with us because we play on about 11 games.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't play whatever games the NBA plays. So, Kruck, man, I'm going to let you go into the Western Conference. What are some matchups or kind of things that surprise you so far in the West?
All right, first matchup I'm going to talk about. The Suns won their series 4-1. And something I really want to address is that very first game. The Clippers won the first game by 5 points, and everywhere on social media that I looked, they were like, the Clippers are them, the Clippers are the best, this, that, and the other. And the Suns come out, next game win by 14, the next game they win by 5, the next game by 12, the next game by 6. The Suns outscored the Clippers in 4 out of the 5 games, obviously winning, duh. Looking at the other one, the Sacramento Kings and the Warriors are tied. They are tied at 2 apiece. The Kings won their first 2 at home. The Warriors won their second 2 at home. And now we're in the back part of the stretch where it goes 1 home, 1 away, 1 home for the Kings, because the Kings are the higher seed. I think it would be absolutely astonishing if the Kings only win their home games. Now, I get it. The Warriors are, like, amazing at home and terrible on the road, but you have to grab one on the road to say, like, to really state that you are a, playoff team. Because if you just win at home constantly, you're going to be looked at differently. The team is going to be looked at differently because you're going to get the fans who are like homer refs. Home atmosphere. Maybe the visitors' locker room is terrible. Maybe this, maybe that, right? You win one on the road, you solidify yourself as a legit team. Looking at the Memphis Grizzlies versus the LA Lakers. We talked about, playoff Jimmy Buckets just being a different breed. We don't even have to talk about it. Playoff LeBron, we all know he's different. Oh, yeah. There's no difference. And I think it's Dylan Brooks who was actually the one to say it. He said we don't consider anybody a problem until they drop 40 points, right? The first game, LeBron James goes out and drops 39 points. Wow. And Dylan Brooks is like, I wasn't a problem. 39 points is a problem. I don't care who you're asking. Across any sport, 39 points is a problem. The next game he goes out and he drops 40. Dylan Brooks in the postgame is like, yeah, he's a problem. And we're all sitting here like, really? Couldn't have noticed that one. But Lakers are going to win it. They're 3-1. Lakers are going to... I think the Lakers win it at home. I think Grizzlies win one more game at their place. Lakers win at home. Nuggets already won their series against the Timberwolves. I have been sleeping on the Nuggets, and I will continue to sleep on the Nuggets. I don't see the Nuggets making the finals.
I'll
Not
say
even
this.
The finals.
Right. I mean, the Nuggets, I agree with you. I thought that, again, they're still an underrated team. But to beat a Timberwolves team that, to be honest with you, even though their record was an 8 seed, I think they still could be a team that I thought could beat the Nuggets because they have a lot of talent. Carl Anthony Towns can play. I mean, we look at a Rudy Gobert. I mean, obviously we knew about coming into the series there was problems, but he did a great job coming.
Then he got
doing
Cat.
his job.
Should have Pat Beverly still on the...
I don't think he is.
No. He's probably gone.
He's somewhere. I forget where he's at, but
he's on the Clippers, isn't he?
Oh yeah, he is on the Clippers.
Yep, that's where he is.
But looking at the Nuggets, now they play the Phoenix Suns coming up now. That matchup is now official. They'll start on Saturday. I think the Suns are going to be favored because the Suns are going to be, they have all the players. And I'll say this about the Suns. This is what you expect with the Phoenix Suns, right? Sorry, just having that with Buster. But the Phoenix Suns come in being one of the top teams looking at it. And I mean, you've got Kevin Durant that's still playing well. Devin Booker is doing awesome too. And I mean, Devin Booker right now is playing the best basketball
he has since he was in the bubble.
Of his career right now.
True.
I mean, how he's playing offensively and defensively. He's even doing on the defensive end, making blocks, making plays, and that's been a difference, I think, in this series. I mean, the Clippers, we can already tell they gave up in this series.
Oh, yeah, they did.
They benched Kawhi Leonard and then Paul George. That's going to be a lot of questions going in the offseason for the Clippers and what they want to do. I think the Suns probably will win that series against the Nuggets, but I'm not sleeping on the Nuggets because Jamal Murray, when he's fully healthy and himself, changes the dynamic of the Nuggets. And it's not just on Jokic, it's him too. You got other players that are stepping up. So the Nuggets could be a team to watch, but again, this Kings-Warriors matchup, this is what I expected. This was going to go to 7 games because both of these teams are just so dynamic with each other. I mean, Steph Curry, De'Aaron Fox has showed up. Like, he has showed up big time. Malik Monk has showed up too, coming from the Lakers. So I think the Sacramento Kings are going to win this series against Golden State. I think they're going to win it. But Golden State, though, if they play to what they do, I think they can possibly win tonight's game. They're going to play tonight here coming up, I believe, at 10 Eastern. And then they'll go into Game 6 playing at home because if the Warriors win tonight's game, they're winning the series.
Yeah,
If the Kings win, it could go either way. That's what I think is going to happen if this Game 5 tonight. And then the Lakers, I agree with you, are probably going to win in 6. I mean, the Grizzlies are going to win tonight's game, it looks like. I checked earlier. And so going into it, then the Lakers have a chance in Game 6. Lakers looking at it, Kings, Nuggets, and Suns. That's not a bad. I kind of like that little matchup a little bit, Kruck.
Yeah,
It happens that way though.
you got two Cali teams still going head to head. You got the Kings and the Lakers, and then you got the Suns and the Nuggets.
Mm-hmm.
So
A
I
little
like
more
'em.
intriguing than maybe the East, you probably would say.
we actually lined up for the first time in a while. Go us.
Well, yeah, that's true. We usually have a lot of disagreements when we talk. Hey, we agreed when we did it, so.
All right, moving forward, we are still going to talk way too early news about baseball. So the best teams in the league, Max, who have the best 5 records in baseball overall without looking at it? Can you guess?
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. All right. So let's see. I already know one is the Rays, for sure.
Yep, number
Rays
1.
for sure. I remember because I said it last week, the Pittsburgh Pirates are a great team.
Yep,
right now.
they're number 2.
Pittsburgh Pirates. Your Brewers are up there.
They're 5.
Oh, okay.
So
They're
you got the
five
3
right
and 4 still open.
now. Oh, boy. You see, this is almost like the blind rankings kind of thing. I got the 2 spots I got to put in. Is the Twins up there?
They are not up there.
Oh, man.
It's the Atlanta Braves at 3 and the
Braves.
Baltimore Orioles at 4.
Really?
But here's something you do have to keep an eye on. Braves, Orioles, Brewers, and Blue Jays. So 3, 4, 5, and 6 all are 16. Pardon me. The top 2 are 16 and 8. Braves and Orioles are 16 and 8. Brewers are 16 and 9, and Blue Jays are 16 and 9. So they, the rankings could shift a little bit, but it goes off of run differential, if I do believe correctly. So, yeah, taking a look at the standings. I mean, we talk about it every time, but there is something we do want to talk about. Tatis Jr. came back, and
He's
believe
officially back now? That's
I
good.
believe he played his first game in Wrigley, if I'm not right. If I'm right, I think.
I would have to check, but that's great news though for the Padres, right? If they want to make a playoff run going into this long season, and looking at this NL West, I'm looking at it right now in the standings, it's still wide open. I mean, now the Dodgers are actually leading it now, which is what I thought, at 13 and 11, and then the Arizona Diamondbacks are 14 and 12.
Yep.
And the Padres are looking at 12 and 13, so it's a wide open NL West right now. Could go either way. And so I think that's huge for the Padres because I still think they have a chance to win the NL West with everybody healthy, their pitching staff. I just think there's something with the Padres this year that can beat the Dodgers out in the NL West. I don't mean the Dodgers can't make a wild card spot or anything.
No.
Go ahead though.
I mean, looking at the Dodgers, right, at the beginning of the year, I was like, maybe they had a chance. After free agency, after injury, after trades and everything, they're not looking good. They still have Freddie Freeman. They still have Will Smith. I mean, Mookie Betts just came back, but, like, they're not the same team as they were. Clayton Kershaw's been pitching amazing for his age. And not even his age, but just for a pitcher. He's been pitching amazing. Julio Urias hasn't been doing bad. He's been doing pretty good. This team just needs people uninjured, if you will. And then looking at the Padres, I did go back and double check. Tatis Jr. did come back against the Cubs, and he actually started out in right field. So, Xander Bogaerts taking over that shortstop position. You got him out in, right field. You have Trent Grisham in center field. Your left fielder, I'm trying to think of who else they picked up. The left fielder would be Juan Soto.
Oh yeah.
So
That's right. that just shows you a stacked lineup right there.
that is
Soto,
the most stacked lineup.
Didn't he win the home run derby?
He won the home run derby
That's
last
right.
year.
Yeah. So
Second place was Julio Rodriguez from the
yeah,
Mariners.
because that was a great home run derby. One of the best I've probably seen since back in the day.
Since back when Bryce Harper won it, back when Judge won it.
So.
But,
Kruck, for me, looking at one team, I know you'd like to talk about your Brewers, right? But I'm going to look at the Pirates right now.
For sure.
This team,
you have
this
to.
This team was dead last, behind my Reds last year in, record right now, right? They're right now first. And looking at it, this is some team stats I found off. Looking at it here from ESPN, they're 10th right now in batting average right now. They're 11th right now in runs with 118. They come in with the earned runs average at a 3.77 ERA, the 10th right now in baseball. And then we look at some other information too. Andrew McCutcheon, remember him? He's been the long-time Pirate.
Yeah, he was with the Brewers last year.
Yeah, and then he's now with the Pirates
went
again.
Back.
And he's at 5 home runs with Byron Reynolds, another one at 5 home runs. So 2 players maybe you don't hear that much talked about, maybe not the style of players, but they're a young team right now. They're gelling really good at the moment. And I think if they keep playing like this, that battle between Milwaukee and Pittsburgh, I mean, we thought of St. Louis. St. Louis is dead last right now.
They're dead last.
And they're game behind the Reds at the moment. I mean, granted, yes, we're still way too early in the season, but for the Cardinals, that's not where you want to be at all. I mean, that is not where they should be. And the Pirates, they're exceeding expectations. So I think if they keep it up with what they're doing, and their pitching has been outstanding too. Let's see, one of their pitchers here, Mitch Keller, right now has 30 Ks this season.
Mitch Keller's not a bad arm.
Yeah, I mean, they got Vince Velasquez as well, Rich Hill. So this is a team right now that's got some people from other teams and stuff, and they're building right now. So the Pirates, watch out for them in the NL at the moment.
Something that I want to talk about real quick is the Oakland A's are currently 5-19, and we usually don't give bad teams the spotlight here. If Oakland A's continue their the way that they have been playing, right? If they continue this over and over and over again, like for the rest of the season, their average rate of winning, they will end the season with only 25 wins. And they will also end the season with a negative 528 run differential.
Man, oh man, oh man.
And you know what's crazy? That would be the worst record, right, of MLB history. Wipe them away. The next team that's the worst is the Kansas City Royals, who I'm a partial fan of because I lived here for long enough. If the A's were not a team, right, and the Royals were, the Royals are also on pace to set the worst record in MLB history. Imagine that. The two bottom teams of the 2023 season are going to set the worst and second worst records ever held right now at this pace. If they continue this pace, they could turn on the Jets. They could go 0
whatever how many games are
141 don't know.
Man, I mean
it's insane. How
that's really insane with the Athletics too. I mean, they're a team that, I mean, granted, yes, they lost a lot of people, but I thought they could still compete in the AL West, right? I think the Rangers, pardon me.
Yeah.
14-10 right now. And you look at the Astros too, 14-11. Those two teams right now are competing. And we talked about it both in the season. They're going to be at the top. I think it's going to keep that way as we go on here, Kruck. And man, it's going to be exciting to see what MLB keeps going into October, which we know when it gets to that time, it's going to be exciting for sure.
Absolutely. Let's move into our fun topic. We're talking about the Olympics. The Olympics aren't anywhere close. I believe Paris Olympics are in 2024, if I
believe so.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it's not coming up anytime soon. Don't freak out about it. Max, what's your favorite Olympics? The Winter Olympics or the Summer Olympics?
For me, I would say the Summer Olympics. And here's why. Yeah, I like the Summer Olympics because I like track a lot, right? And track's in the summer, and I always like watching like the world's best athletes in track go at it. I mean, we've seen it with Jamaica, right? With the Usain Bolt. I mean, I believe, again, there's Thompson Hara. That's just like a new face right there in the women's track. I mean, the U.S. team in like hurdles and stuff. Cindy McLaughlin, outstanding athlete for doing the 400-meter hurdles and then the 200-meter hurdles. And then actually, this is a cool information here, Kruck, right? There's actually one girl named is Abby Steiner. She actually went to a high school that was in Columbus, Ohio, that actually I faced in football and stuff like that. So kind of have a little bit of connection with playing against her, but from football, and then obviously seeing her on the track too as well. And man, she can run fast. And she's on the Olympic team. She went to Kentucky University and now is officially, I believe, now just being an Olympic athlete at the moment. So that's very cool to see that. So I always like watching track, and then there's a lot of others too. I mean, beach volleyball is another great one to watch as well. And then there's a lot of other ones. So to me, I like the Summer Olympics a little bit more. What about you, though?
Man, I want to disagree with you. I want to. But it's got to be the Summer Olympics because I'm looking at the Winter Olympics. You have alpine skiing. Yeah. You have ice hockey, which don't get me wrong, I love hockey. The snowboard. You have all the different snowboarding events. Those are fun. The skeleton race, the skeleton bobsledding, that is fun to watch. Actual bobsledding is fun to watch as well. But, I mean, those summer games are just different. Like, skateboarding. I never in a million years would I think I'd sit down and watch skateboarding, because X Games on ESPN has it on all the time, right?
It's true.
When it was on the Olympics, I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. Swimming. Where would we be? Where would we be without Michael Phelps?
Michael Phelps. How about for women's swimming, Katie Ledecky as well?
Exactly.
So,
but my heart goes out to one sport and one sport only. Golf. There is nothing more enjoyable for me than watching golf. And I've heard all the old people say, oh, it's like watching paint dry, it's boring, it's this, that, and the other. I'm like, yeah, okay. You watch NASCAR. NASCAR is less entertaining than golf. I'm sorry, I said it. I stand by it. What's more entertaining, Max?
I would say NASCAR because
goodness.
Here's the thing. Why? Because that's more. There's crashes and stuff like that, and there's other things that happen. That's like it's like a fast paced kind of thing. That's probably what most people are probably getting at that than golf, because golf's like slow pace. It doesn't got everything else, but I like when golf it gets towards the end, like the final round and stuff like that. When it's like the last couple of holes, they're all fighting it out. That's when I really tune in to probably watch, especially the Masters when we talked about that.
Absolutely.
The final round of the Masters is obviously a big time event. So I don't know. I just like, if I had to choose, I mean, I don't watch that much of probably NASCAR and like golf.
Yeah, you don't watch NASCAR.
Yeah, I don't really watch it that much. But I mean, if I had to choose, just because of the tempo of probably NASCAR, then probably golf, I'd pick NASCAR. So.
Yeah, and I mean, other summer sports, you got basketball, beach volleyball, boxing. Floyd Mayweather's start.
Oh, yeah.
Boxing.
How about that?
Wrestling. Weightlifting is also a fun one.
Oh, yeah.
One that I'm not a big fan of, but I do watch, water polo. Once again, if it's not on the Olympics, I'm not watching water polo. But when it's the Olympics, go Team USA.
Yeah, just go.
Sailing. Never thought in a million years I'd watch sailing. I watched like 2 events last year, and I was just like, this is intriguing.
You were intrigued by sailing.
I was like, this is actually enjoyable. But yeah, and then rugby. They don't have American football. They have soccer, but rugby sevens. It's about as close as you can get to football in the Olympics. But I mean, like, let's be honest. If they put American football in the Olympics, it'd be over.
It would top everything. I
mean, USA.
You might as well just put American football.
They would just give the USA the gold and be like, all right, we're playing for silver. So, all right, that will do it for this episode of Crunch Time. Once again, we'd like to thank you all for tuning in. Finals are coming up for us. What are they, in 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
2 weeks, man.
So we got 2 weeks before finals, which means next week will be episode 56. That will be our last episode of season 5. Wow. So we're going to go out with a bang. It'll be our last day in person doing Crunch Time because, I'm graduating and you're sticking around to do bigger and better things, win one more conference championship ring than me.
You know what, man? If that does happen, that's, I'll have to definitely show you that and show you, obviously, the work. It's going to be different. I'll say this real quick about our team. I mean, we've lost a lot of people that have been, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be just how the team's going to build up, right? And I've talked to Kruck about this off the air when we don't do this show stuff, too. The offensive line needs we're trying to get a lot of people for that. So we'll see.
Sure.
How recruiting does with that and the players that we're going to get, but never count us out. I mean, they're going to do now real quick is they're going to have different conferences what they have. So it's going to be 5-team, 6-team conferences. I believe it's going to be the first week we're playing all in conference games.
Yep.
And then the other last 5 are not going to be in conference. So that's going to be interesting to see. Obviously, for me, I'm only going to deal with that for 1 year, Kruck, because I'm going to be a senior.
Yeah, you're going to be a senior.
So I'm going to be very excited as well. But, man, I can't wait to see where the season goes.
Absolutely. And we're going to wrap things up on that note. Make sure to check out Crunch Time on Apple Podcast, Spotify Podcast, YouTube, anywhere you guys listen. We thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts from listening. We'll be back next week with our last one for Season 5.
Make sure you stay up to date on all Crunch Time episodes on YouTube, Apple Podcast, and Spotify.